Okay, One Piece chapter 1009. I really love this chapter. This chapter was basically everything that I have missed from this arc up until now. The chapter starts off back with Orochi and Fukurokochi facing off against the Scabbers inside the castle. I still don't think the story has answered how Orochi survived the beheading from Kaido, but chances are that what was actually beheaded was either a drawing from Kanjuro, which, to be fair, we have seen how convincing Kanjuro's drawings could be in the last chapter when he fooled the Scabbards with the whole Odin tease. But who knows, it could also be a result of his devil fruit. I really don't know what Orochi was thinking, but he seemed to believe that he could take on all of the remaining Scabbards by himself.
Hello, my great kings. Come and fight me.
So he transformed into his 8-headed snake form, and needless to say, the Scabbards made light work of him.
Fight back, nigga! Fight back, nigga! Fight back! Fight back!
They straight up made him look like some marine fodder. Even the scene where the Scabbards cut off his head were reminiscent of the scene where Law used his devil fruit on the marines back in Saboti. I also think this finally puts an end to every theory thinking that Orochi is gonna fight Zoro at some point. I saw this theory floating around in the community a lot, but honestly, after this, the Orochi hype train needs to stop.
Stop the cap! Stop the cap right now! Stop the cap!
Also, we gotta put some respect on Zoro. This guy has been pulling one feat after another, this chapter being no exception. Obviously, I don't think that Orochi is dead. To have a character die in One Piece is kinda like James Charles stopping texting Minus.
Hi sisters!
It's just not gonna happen. And to do it in such a forgettable and meaningless way is just not like One Piece. Orochi not dying could again be because of his devil fruit. A lot of people seem to believe that Orochi has the mythical Zoan Hydra fruit, but that's not the case. His devil fruit is the mythical Japanese creature Yamata no Orochi, or the 8-headed snake in English. For reference sake, it is the same creature that Orochimaru summoned in his fight against Itachi, if you guys can remember that. In the real mythology, the storm god Susanoo slayed the 8-headed snake by cutting it to pieces. From my research, it doesn't specify if it had to cut all of the snake's heads, but if we do draw the parallel to the Greek creature Hydra, that could explain why Orochi isn't dead. Especially since we can assume not all of his heads were cut off. Since there's currently only 6 Scabbards plus Izo left, and if we assume that each one cut one head off, that would still leave one head left.
That's free quick maths!
But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Anyways, after the presumed death of Orochi, we hear Kinemon come with easily one of the hardest lines we've heard this arc. "We don't have time to the likes of you, you'll be judged in the hell," he tells Orochi. Damn! I do wonder if Orochi is gonna meet Lil Nas X there.
Call me when you want, call me when you need, call me in the morning.
But honestly, I think this could potentially be part of Orochi's plan. He stated in the beginning of the chapter that he was basically trapped in a corner and couldn't go back. So assuming that the Scabbards didn't know Orochi's abilities, he could have used that against them to leave him alone for now. We also get an Raizo and Fukurokucho face-off, which has been foreshadowed for a long time now. But unfortunately, I do believe this is going to be one of those off-screen battles. We then get back to the top of Onigashima, where Big Mom seems to have the absolute time of her life, which is funny because she hasn't really done shit up until now. She does kind of feel like the Sakura of the Yonkos. Anyways, she suggests to do a combined attack with Kaido, saying she wonders how many of the 5 will survive. I'm not gonna lie, that one line was kinda hard, I'll give her that. But before the attack, we get some dialogue from the supernovas, with Kid asking what was basically on everybody's mind. Why didn't Law just use his devil fruit powers to separate the Yonkos? And the explanation we get is basically that Law can't, since their hockey is too strong, which people do have
You want him?
speculated. But the effect hockey has on devil fruits is still a big question mark at this point. For example, let's assume that Shanks were fighting alongside Law, and that he was willing to work together with Law. Would that allow him to transport Shanks using shambles, or would Shanks' hockey still be in the way? I feel like this is a good subject for Oda to address in a SBS in the future. We then cut to Luffy that senses danger coming with his Spidey sense, and all of the supernovas are taken pretty far back by the sheer pressure of the incoming attack, called Ocean Sovereignty, which is a pretty fitting name from an attack from two Yonkos. And honestly, I assume that the force from this combined attack is at least the same as that of a Prime Roger or Whitebeard.
What?
This is no Jake Paul ass slapping.
All of you!
Daddy, chill.
Which makes it way more impressive that Zoro basically stops it, even if it's only for a short while before Law uses his powers and gets them out of there just in time. Which, again, I wonder why Law couldn't just have done that from the beginning. Law then asks Zoro in the most Law way possible if Zoro is still alive, and Zoro answers in agony that he's barely so. Zoro has been the supernova I have been most impressed with at this point, which makes sense since Oda has clearly stated that he's just a bigger fan of Zoro as the next guy. And yeah, he has shown that since the time skip. Whereas with Sanji, let's not get started with Sanji. Anyways, we cut to Luffy advancing against Kaido, and Kaido even dodges the attack, which, if I remember correctly, this is the first time Kaido hasn't just taken an attack head on. Big Mom even asks him why, and if it's because it would hurt. Meanwhile, Luffy might have the biggest smile we've ever seen on him. If you have kept up with the anime lately, it's very reminiscent of Roger's smile when he fought off against Whitebeard. But obviously, this is Kaido we're talking about, and he quickly turns the tides and absolutely pummels Luffy, and finally hitting him with a 3 realms round rock attack, which we actually don't see Luffy recovering from the rest of the chapter. But presumably, while Luffy was getting his ass beat by Kaido, the rest of the supernovas came up with a plan to separate the two Yonkos, because when they come back, they might have some teamwork that puts even the 2015 Golden State Warriors to shame. They basically start off by trapping Zeus inside this thing that Kid has conjured up with his devil fruit powers. Then they follow up by separating Big Mom from Prometheus and Napoleon. And then Kid finally uses the harpoon thing he had showed in the last few chapters, but Big Mom eats that attack and then continues to bash Kid's head in. But to be fair, Kid does eat the punch, even though it is important to note that Big Mom isn't using any haki whatsoever. But this is still the same punch that knocked out giants even as a little girl. This was all part of the supernova's plan though. Kid was sending Big Mom flying, nicely assisting Law that hits Big Mom with an ace pitch, seemingly sending Big Mom flying off of the rooftop, with no Prometheus or Zeus to save her. Of course, I don't think this is the end of Big Mom. She'll presumably get saved by Perospero is my guess. In the final panel, we see a very injured Zoro. He's coughing up blood, and from the looks of it, he's even missing his bandana. I don't know what this means for Zoro's future in this battle, but I do hope we get to see more from Zoro. I would be pretty disappointed if we didn't at least get to see Zoro either go in Ashura mode again, or at least develop a black sword from this battle. But honestly, who knows, maybe this is where Zoro finally opens up his left eye, if there's even anything to show beneath it. But yeah, that's the end of this chapter. I really enjoyed it. It was another very solid chapter for One Piece, and luckily for us there's no breaks next week, so we are very blessed. And I do hope you liked this video, and if you did, please consider giving me a thumbs up or even subscribing. Peace.